There is an island in Germany where the garbage man rides a horse, where the ferry only runs when the tide allows it, and where you can walk from one end to the other in 30 minutes. 500 people live here. No cars, no paved roads, no traffic lights. Just the North Sea, the wind, and a kind of silence that most Americans have never experienced in their entire lives. Like this video and subscribe if you want more content like this. Where is this place? Baltrum is the smallest of 7 inhabited islands off the coast of northern Germany, in a region called East Frisia. It is 6.5 square kilometers. To put that in perspective, Central Park in New York is bigger. The island sits in the middle of the Wadden Sea, a UNESCO World Heritage Site that stretches along the coasts of Germany, the Netherlands, and Denmark. When the tide goes out, the seafloor is exposed for kilometers, a flat, wet moonscape that you can actually walk across. Some people hike from the mainland to the neighboring islands at low tide. It is beautiful, it is dangerous, and it is unlike anything most Americans have ever seen. Getting to Baltrum means taking a ferry from a small harbor called Nesmersiel on the mainland. The ride takes about 30 minutes, but here is the thing. The ferry is tide dependent. It only runs when there is enough water beneath it. Miss the window and you are stuck, either on the island or off it. There is no backup plan, no bridge, no tunnel. You wait for the sea to let you move. No cars, no exceptions. Baltrum has no cars, not almost no cars, not cars are discouraged. 0. The island banned them entirely and never looked back. Everything here moves by foot, by bike, or by horse. The mail arrives by horse-drawn cart. The groceries arrive by horse-drawn cart. The garbage gets collected by horse-drawn cart. This is just how Baltrum works. When someone moves to the island and needs to bring furniture, it comes on the ferry and gets loaded onto a trailer pulled by a horse. When someone has a medical emergency, a doctor comes by boat or, in serious cases, by helicopter. There is no ambulance because there is nothing for an ambulance to drive on. The roads are sandpaths and brick walkways. And the silence that comes with all of this is something you do not notice at first. You notice it after about an hour. There is no engine noise anywhere, no car humming in the distance, no truck reversing, no motorcycle buzzing down a side street, just hooves on sand, seagulls, and wind. Visitors say it takes a full day before their brain stops expecting the sound of traffic. Once it does, going back to the mainland feels physically loud. Americans cannot imagine a life without a car. On Baltrum, people cannot imagine a life with one. The island is so small that owning a car would be like owning a boat in a swimming pool. Technically possible, but completely pointless. Summer versus winter. In summer, Baltrum transforms. 70,000 tourists visit every year. That is 140 times the local population. The beaches fill up, the cafes are packed, the ferry runs multiple times a day. For a few months, this tiny island in the North Sea feels almost like a resort. Then September ends. The tourists leave. The beach chairs get stacked and stored. The cafes close their shutters, and Baltrum goes quiet, in a way that is hard to describe to someone who has not experienced it. 500 people, no cars, no engine noise, no background hum of a city that never fully sleeps. Just the wind, the waves, and the sound of your own footsteps on a sand path. In winter, storms hit the island so hard that the ferry cannot run for days at a time. Nobody leaves, nobody arrives. The island is simply cut off from the mainland, and the people on it wait until the sea decides they are allowed to reconnect with the rest of the world. Americans sometimes ask what Germans do for fun in a place like this. The honest answer is that they do not come here for fun. They come here to stop, to not do anything at all, to sit in a strandkorb, one of those hooded wicker beach chairs you see all over the German coast, on an empty beach in October and listen to absolutely nothing. In a country that engineered the Autobahn, Baltrum is the exact opposite, a place that was built for standing still. Life on the island. Living on Baltrum full-time means accepting that things most people on the mainland take for granted simply do not exist here. There is one school, a handful of teachers, a few dozen students. Classes are tiny, 4 or 5 kids per grade. Everyone knows everyone. When children grow up and need a higher education, they leave. There is no high school on the island, no university anywhere close. Teenagers who want a degree have to move to the mainland, sometimes to a boarding school, often at 15 or 16. For many of them, leaving Baltrum is not really a choice. It is the only option. There is one supermarket. It stays open on Sundays, one of the very few places in all of Germany where that is allowed, because island life does not follow mainland rules. For anything beyond the basics, a dentist, a specialist, a new pair of shoes, you take the ferry, if the tide cooperates. Most of the 500 residents work in tourism. They run guest houses, cafes, restaurants, and small shops that exist because visitors come. When the tourists leave in autumn, the income slows down. The island does not shut down entirely, but it breathes differently. There is no nightlife, there is no cinema, there is no shopping street. The biggest social event outside of tourist season is probably running into your neighbor at the bakery and talking about the weather for 10 minutes. For a teenager, that sounds like a prison sentence. For a retired couple from Hamburg, it sounds like paradise. Both of them are right. And yet people stay. Families have lived here for generations. They know the tides the way city people know traffic patterns. They know every face on the island because there are only 500 of them. Leaving is always possible. A 30-minute ferry ride and you are back in a world with cars and noise and supermarkets open past 8. But they choose this every single day, not because they are stuck, but because they found something on this sandbar that the mainland cannot offer, a life where nothing is fast, nothing is urgent, and nobody is in a hurry to get anywhere. Germany is a country of engineers. We built the Autobahn. We built cars that do 250 kilometers per hour. We built factories, machines, and systems that run with a precision the rest of the world tries to copy. And then we built Baltrum, an island with no roads, no engines, no speed. That contradiction makes no sense until you understand that it makes perfect sense. Germans do not just build things that go fast. We also protect places that force you to slow down. Baltrum is not a failure of infrastructure. It is a decision, a deliberate, stubborn, very German decision to leave one small piece of the country exactly the way it was before the rest of the world sped up. 500 people on a sandbar in the North Sea, surrounded by a UNESCO World Heritage Site, living without cars, waiting for tides, and choosing every single day to stay. That is not impossible. That is very German.